We are here.
Oh my gosh, we have not done a live for how long has it been?
I don't know, since COVID. So what was it?
I don't remember how long it
March. It was St. Patrick's Day. We were supposed to see Lizzo and at the rodeo, and the city shut everything down. And that's when we began our 60 days of happy hour with the property judge. Remember that? We thought it was going to be like a week and a half, and 60 days later, we drank our way to adding 10 to 15 pounds. The COVID 19 pounds.
This is water. We are
Yes,
not drinking champagne.
We are not drinking
time,
champagne,
so,
vodka. This is not vodka. This is water. So too
Yeah.
funny. Anyways, my name's Joe Diasana, and this is
Obviously, I'm Kerry Josephson.
and we are the
The
Property
Property
Joes.
Joes.
And what we wanted to do is really talk about what recently just happened to our clients, and we felt this is the easiest way to do that and the quickest way to do that. So, so as some of you may know, last Friday we had a NAR settlement of a National Association of Realtors lawsuit, and this we've known about pending for some time. And there's a lot of news of how it will change our industry. However, just like with anything with headlines, there's a lot of clickbait out there, and the information can be not quite exactly true. So our goal today is to share with you what we know and what we are waiting to find out.
So we might be a little lighthearted about some of this.
Yeah.
And because we're super excited to be able to have a connection with everybody that's out there. But there are some serious things here. And so we've got some notes. So you'll see us looking down at our notes from time to time, only so that we make sure and cover everything that we do know. There's things we know, things we don't know. But what I'll say first and foremost is, as we get started, is we are speaking for ourselves. We are not speaking on behalf of, I don't know, Keller Williams Memorial, Keller Williams in general,
our personal trade association, HAR. We're not talking on behalf
Texas
of that.
Realtor Association. We are speaking. These are our opinions, and some of them are facts, and some of them are things that we think that will happen. And you'll be able to tell, which are which. But first and foremost, we just want to make sure that that's clear. The other thing is, those of you, you wouldn't be on here if you didn't know us, right? But those of you that know us know that we love what we do, and we love and we're driven by the value we give to our clients. And we hope we show that to you guys every time you're with us. Hopefully, if we don't show it every time, we show it throughout the transaction, so we make up for a bad day here and there. But many times, that passion that we have for what we do is also driven by the fact that you guys refer us. So not only do I enjoy what I do, but also when you refer us to somebody, I don't want to let you down, right? So I want to make sure that I represent you well.
I basically can't sleep when there's something going sideways and it impacts our client. And he'll attest to that, because I'll start complaining about it and say, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Hopefully this will work out and stuff like that. Sydney says it was fun.
Oh,
Sydney.
way back then. Yes, it was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We used to have guests on and stuff. Maybe we'll figure out how to do this. One thing that, before we go any further, we are in our new office. Yay. So before we used to broadcast from the backyard, now we've stepped up and we are back in our office, and we got this great art piece behind us.
Yay.
And
one of a kind.
Yes, one of a kind.
Fun. Houston skyline. So
one of the other things that we feel super strongly about, and we want to make it clear, is that we believe that everybody should have representation. So even to the point where one of the things that Joe and I have an agreement that even though the state of Texas allows a realtor to represent both the seller and the buyer, we don't think that makes sense. And so we don't represent both ends, and we will set up the other side with a realtor if they don't have one, and things like that. But we want to make sure that everybody has representation they can trust. And honestly, the real estate, the transaction process of being able to get a house under contract and complete it all the way through can be lengthy, and it can be scary for people. It can be also tiresome. Because there's a lot of steps. And one of the things we provide, I firmly believe, is resilience through the transaction. So sometimes people get down and they're like, oh my gosh. And we help them. We paint the picture of what it's going to look like 3 weeks from now once the transaction's done. And so I think that's super important for us to recognize. The other thing is, part of the what's it called? Not the
Sounds like
sounds like
2 words.
the oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember what I'm talking about. The settlement. The whole reason we're here.
Oh yeah.
Part of the settlement was to allow people to be able to have, let's just call it freedom of choice, to be able to choose who they can work with and be able to negotiate the rates they want to pay as far as when they list their home and when they buy. And quite frankly, Texas has always had that. So, I mean, if you don't have to look any further than for sale by owner. There is a segment of the population that wants to do that on their own and that wants to be able to work through the whole process on their own. And we have space for that. Not every state does, but Texas does have that. So that's part of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So let me see if I have anything else. I think you're up next.
I am up next.
Yeah,
all right. So we all know that among realtors, there's a broad range of experience, competency, and drive. And some are great. And just like any other profession, some need a little bit more training and competency. So, you know, and anytime you go through real estate transactions, there's a element of risk because you're spending a bunch of money and you're actually disrupting your time and moving. So, you know, oftentimes for us, we do our business 100% by referral, and we may be working with clients for many years. My longest one was I was working with a client for 4 years before we actually get paid. And so for us, there's a joy in attaining that goal. And it's also important to know that we will be also financially compensated for the work that we do. And sometimes the result is multiple months, multiple years down the line. And just so you know, we still love to serve
Sure.
and take care of people. We're very good at what we do. And, you know, we'll just roll with the changes that are happening. So what we know is there's been a lot of discussion around commission structure regarding the realtors. In Texas, commission is paid to the listing broker or the buyer's broker. Has always been negotiable. It always has been there. And there's consequences and challenges if those are varied and different, but it's always been negotiable. It's not a standard amount. And this has always been reviewed by our clients in the process. What we love about our brokerage is they really teach us to stay in compliance. They teach us to follow the guidelines, look at the agreement, explain the agreement as best we can. And, you know, frankly, especially on the listing side, we leave them with a net sheet at time of listing so they can see this is how the money flows and this is the arithmetic, because that's the first thing they ask is, what is my net at the end of all of this? What am I going to get and what should we expect? So we currently do that. So sure. This is actually this whole like structure of the agreements apparently is only available, and I'm not sure how detailed this is, but in about 20 states, buyer agency is not there. Right. And so that's why there's kind of the confusion in some of this. So that's what we know. So the other thing, what else do we know? That's you.
That's me. I'm up. Okay, so
unscripted.
Yeah, I mean, this is we drew up all of this, and then it was time to start. So we have not rehearsed very well. But one of the things I think we're experts on Texas real estate, not so much the rest of the country. But I think it is that 20 states are the only ones that have the ability to.
Data guy. He's the data guy.
I don't know if I'm the data guy, but I think it's 20 states. We'll see business as usual after this, and we are one of them versus the balance, whatever the math is, the balance of the states. They did not show that. But anyway, that being said, one of the things that's going to happen so none of this has been approved yet, by the way. The settlement has been done, but it still has to be approved by various levels of government. And it's set to go into effect the 21st. One of the things that we know that will change
21st
is
July 1st.
I thought it was July 1st. Did I say 21st?
Yeah.
July 1st. Okay. So it's a ways away. Whatever, it's July. But
sometime in the future, and we don't know what the details and how things are going to flesh out. So there you go.
So one thing that we do know is, you know what? I'm going to have to do this first one before I do the next one.
Okay,
or else
go ahead.
mine doesn't make sense. So one of the things we do know, after July 1st, we will no longer be able to disclose how we get paid on the MLS. So the MLS for Houston, of course, is HAR, Houston Association of Realtors. That's what we'll send to you every time to look at listings. Today, as we work, at any time, an agent can pop in there and look and see, okay, for this listing, they will pay the buyer's agents X% for the deal, right? That way, the buyer's agent can let the buyer know that the buyer, there's no need for the buyer to add any money for the compensation for that buyer's agent. So we have that today. Once July 1st hits, we will no longer be able to post that. We'll be able to post it elsewhere. We don't know where what elsewhere is. That's what the government has said is just elsewhere. So we're trying to find that part out. But the things that kind of come to mind and the impact for me is that we would anticipate. There was one other thing I thought I was going to hold on. So today there's very little confusion on what's going to be paid at closing, because we know right away what the buyer's representative, what their compensation will be, for their broker. The other thing is that there is no distinction and no chance of discrimination, because we have posted what the pay is. There could be some fair housing issue if I were to call an agent and find out, hey, you know what, they're going to charge me and my client. They're going to pay the full amount for me and my client, but for this other agent, they're not going to do that. And there is no oversight at all for that. So
who knows?
At least what we know. So yeah,
the rest will be figured out later.
But where I was coming to is the other thing that we do know for sure is starting July 1st, you will need to expect more out of your real estate agent, whether they're the buyer's agent or the listing agent. You've got to expect more. Today, a good agent, one that takes care of their client and is successful to be able to survive in this industry, works about 12 to 14 hours a day. And I don't know what it's going to be after that, but you are going to need to expect more out of that agent, not just to be able to run down all these items and help you understand what the cost of doing business is going to be when you buy a home, but also negotiation. This is one more element of negotiation that just automatically becomes a talking point when we don't have an agreement on the onset for the listing. So I think that's important for us to acknowledge. The other thing is, we know when you add hours and you add complexity to a job, you're going to lose people. We know it. We know we're going to lose some agents over this. And while, every agent out there is not a rock star, and there may be some agents out there that maybe we wouldn't mind if they went on and did something in a different career. What we also know is with fewer agents, and if we lose some of that experience, other agents will come and replace them, but they won't have the experience, nor will they have the connections with as many people as we do today. So again, that kind of translates into representation. So we want to make sure that there's good, or we believe in representation, and hopefully we'll figure out a way that's addressed.
And also the absence of that, when the vacuum happens, it's going to be more work for the agents that are going to be here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the main issue with the settlement is the lack of clarity and the lack of communication. And that's pretty much on our part in terms of the real estate community as a whole. We need to level up that. We've always done that. We've always hyper communicated, even to the point where some of our clients, their eyeballs go in the back of their head because they're like, wait, way too much information.
Here's another call from,
here's another piece of information, right? because we want them to know everything about the process as we go forward. So a couple other things. What we don't know, so let's talk about that. What we do know is
Sure.
there is going to be some changes in Texas. We've always had agencies. It was pretty clear. Everyone typically knows how, if explained correctly, would typically know how the money flows and things like that. What we don't know, number one, is how will VA buyers get the same representation as other buyers? Because currently a VA buyer, and it's on the government website, says that the buyer's agent is not allowed to pay for the buyer's agent commission. So
the buyer is not allowed to pay the
Correct.
buyer's agent, right?
did I not say that?
You said buyer's agent twice. That's
Okay,
all right.
my bad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you caught that. And so that means it must come from the seller. And what if the seller doesn't want to today? They pay for it. What if they don't want to? Then what? So are you saying that our veteran can't get that house? May not. Who knows? I don't know. We don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
Or they can't get representation to help them unless it's for free.
Correct.
Right.
And who works for free? I
Yeah.
don't know about you. Yeah. And then another thing we don't know today, if you use a buyer's agent, you're covered with their insurance. It's because it's paid for by the agent, and it's collected at time of closing. The only way for a buyer to access this coverage in the future is only if they're paid on that transaction, if the buyer's agent is paid on that transaction. However, if someone goes on their own or if their agent works for free, this E&O coverage is not present. So it's another little piece that kind of goes off the table. And if you remember, not only is a purchase or sale of a house is a financial transaction, it's also a legal transaction, right? And so who wants to add a complexity to your life if all you want to do is buy a house or sell a house? I mean, come on, just, hire professionals. The other thing, what we don't know, does this decision lower the cost of buying a home? If it does, truly, it is minimal. Think about it from for sale by owner, right? For sale by owner, they want a DIY. All of us allow that. A seller can do that. This is America. You can do whatever the heck you want. You can sell your house by yourself. However, what does that seller for sale by owner do? They want to get market value, even though they're saving on not hiring a listing broker to provide all the services to take them through that process and to be their advocate, to watch your back, to make sure they're doing everything proper and correct. They're not going to lower their price. They're going to want to get maximum dollar. By the way, side note, 85% of most for sale by owners end up going with a professional to list their property mainly because they don't get the maximum exposure and they don't understand the process. What happens if this repair comes up? Is it reasonable for me to pay for it or not? Who pays for it? If there's a title problem, how do you navigate through that? If there's a lending issue on the buyer side, what's reasonable to expect? Is this buyer correct? Did they come correct? They may be ready and willing, but are they capable? How can you test that? I mean, there's a variety of things that agency allows to protect you as a consumer if you're buying or selling, to make sure that the process goes well. Our job is to be that steady person in the transaction to make sure that we follow through. A lot of times I find during transactions, there's going to be some points where there's like hurdles and turbulence that make people nervous because it's a lot of money. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of money to buy a home and to sell a home.
One thing I would add to the for sale by owner piece that I didn't think about until you were talking through it is, I don't know what the number is in percentage, but I always, when I'm doing a buyer's consultation and getting a buyer ready to go out and find a home, I tell them, hey, look, for sale by owners, we can also show you those properties and kind of help with that part of the transaction. However, you're probably not going to want to see one. And the reason they don't want to see one is because for sale by owner generally prices their property about 30 to 40% above market value. And the homeowner just doesn't have the experience. It's like our kids. We always think our kid is the smartest and the best looking.
Your kids
And
are.
we don't
They
always.
are.
Well, I think mine are, but I'm telling you,
And
not
your
everybody's
grandson
kids.
is. Your
Not
grandson.
everybody's kids are the best looking or not the smartest. So,
Okay.
and same with our house. I mean, you might think your house is awesome, but you get a professional in there, and they may agree with you, and they may not. So.
You know, ultimately, this is for us. It's just another day in the office. There's lots of misnomers in real estate. Here's one misnomer, right? Number one, should I clean my house? Right? I mean, literally, I had that. Not recently. It's been a while. Should I clean my house? And then they clean the house, and it's not clean. And so we have to tell them, oh my gosh, it smells like dog. I can still feel grime over here, blah blah blah. Well, I spent $300 on a deep clean from a maid. I said, well, that just got the first layer off. You need to get all of the layers off, right?
They don't work miracles.
Yeah. So the perspective, it's all about perspective on something that you're so used to, right? So this one seller and this and that. So had to navigate through that very delicately because, so this lawsuit is just, for me, is about communication and clarity. It's making sure that we still continue to do what we've always done, and that is talk about buyer agency, talk about seller agency representation, make sure they understand where the numbers come and flow, and then allow each client, seller or buyer, to make the ultimate decision on that. So we kind of are excited about the change. We're excited about serving our clients. We've always done business by referral, and we appreciate everyone that has supported us in the past. And we work hard at it. And, if you're watching this and you have a realtor in your life, give them a hug because they're freaking out by reading all the clickbait. Watch clickbait, don't read it. So
totally, yeah. And the other thing that I would say is, with any change in an industry or any disruption, you lose people.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to lose some good agents. We're going to lose some experience in the marketplace. I will also tell you that for Joe and I and our team, we're here. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We feel super, super confident about the future. We also feel super confident in our ability to help someone guide our clients through the right decisions for them. The right decision for one person may be different for another person, and we kind of help you weigh those out.
Yeah.
Also, because you've trusted us to be able to work with your mom, your parents, your mom is your parent, hopefully, but your mom, your parents, your kids, your next door neighbor, your teacher, whomever it is. And we really, really appreciate that you've trusted us to do that. I mean, we're not going anywhere.
So Leslie Cortez says, do we have any indication of how the information will be presented? We don't know. We still have to work through our association. We have to work through our brokerage, which is there's a whole variety of things behind the scenes that we have to manage, and then put some structures and some systems in place. But we'll figure that out. And it to me, from a does it affect the buyer and seller? Yes, it can. If we don't manage expectations, number one. Number two, it will affect the agents because we have a little bit more steps to go through to make sure that we are in compliance. And you know what? There's always going to be disruption, right? Our first disruption in the industry was going from paper-based to online, right? So we as realtors pay our association to display the listing so you can see inside the houses, right? That was the first major disruption, paper to online. The second major disruption was signing electronically, right? Super excited. I was one of the first people to implement DocuSign because I remember having to fax 4 people, buyer husband, buyer wife, seller husband, seller wife, in 4 different locations. And it came back so grainy. I was like, okay, this is the dumbest thing. Let me go find something. We did DocuSign it way back in the day, kind of dating me. And then, the third really disruption, which I think is kind of more of an efficiency, is we had online closings. That was during COVID. We had to meet in the parking lot at a distance, but sometimes that arrangement or that collaboration, it was not possible. We had people. One of my clients was the last on a plane to leave for Panama to meet his wife that he hadn't been with for a while. And fortunately he did, because then everything shut down after that.
Sure.
And we had to do closing. I mean, real estate didn't stop. We had to do closings remotely. And this thing with our trade association, National Association of Realtors, we're super grateful for that, because during COVID, they lobbied so that we could be essential workers, so we can help our clients who had to move anyways. I mean, do you remember that? There was lockdown for 60 days and people were still buying and selling property. We had to be there for them. And we stood in the gap and figured out all these little crazy things that we had to do differently. Mask, no mask, in the parking lot, online, all of these things. And so this is just another little thing. Now, but one more thing I need to say.
Soapbox.
Okay, soapbox.
Soapbox.
Okay, so who's paying for this lobbying of the lawsuit in this? This is my more conspiracy theory thing. Because you got to follow the money. Like, who's going to benefit ultimately from this? It's got to be a big organization, some sort of online broker that's trying to rabble rouse everything. He and I have been talking about it. I won't mention the one like Zillow or Redfin. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
No, we don't know.
Who knows?
We don't know. But the other thing, and one thing that I'm reminded of that Joe mentioned, and shout out to Daniel Parker. Thank you, Jason Parker, good friend of mine, lender partner, is real estate. And Leslie also mentioned this. Real estate is resilient, and we will figure out a way, whether it's doing closings in parking lots, everybody's in individual cars and we're running paper back and forth to each other, or it's figuring out how to adapt after the settlement, whether it is your lender partner, your lenders will be out there trying to make sure that we can adapt. Your real estate agents and brokers will be doing it. Title people will be doing it. I mean, we're here to stay. We're here to make sure that people can both achieve home ownership, which is super important. A neighborhood that has a higher percentage of homeowners looks different. Just does. Don't want to. I mean, I love renters and I love the people that rent property from us, but I'll tell you, property looks different when you own it. And the other thing I would say is that we're also here not just to help people achieve a home ownership, but also to sell it. I mean, sometimes they're going to need to sell it and they need to get that money out of their home, and most people can't afford to wait 12 months when they figure out the process. They want to come and get some help and move on. So we're here to do that. Look forward to having conversations with you guys and keeping you guys updated as time goes on.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We love you guys. Ciao.
Cheers. See you later. Bye.
Bye.